guys, it's Eli Knight here. I'm in a different environment today. We're over here at Metrolina Martial Arts in Concord, North Carolina. I'm here with Ed Stahl. This is his place. And yeah, so we're making some different videos. One that I wanted to make was on arm drags and options that exist off of arm drags. I think that arm drags are an integral part of anybody's grappling game. I think that it's extremely important to understand kind of the nature of them, how you can use them, and what you can set up with them. Not just for takedowns, you can do a lot on the ground, but we're just gonna focus on the takedowns today so we can really explore the dynamics and mechanics of an arm drag. So essentially what an arm drag is when I drag his arm for a reason. So, ways that we can look to do it. Let's go on this side here. When Ed, there's a couple different ways that we can look to do it. If it's already made contact versus if I catch it, intercept it coming in versus if I instigate it, right, or initiate it. So if he's already made contact with me, and this might be from, you know, he's already reaching out and we're trying to like tie up with each other or whatever. If it's connected to me, I'm going to brush it off this way. So I'm gonna turn and I wanna kind of wax off this direction here. I'm gonna come up and I want to grab the inside of the arm behind his tricep area here like this, and then I'm going to drag it here. So I create this opportunity to get around to his back or to split his stance to come in for like a double leg or something, right? Now, as we look to do that, once I get here, there's pros and cons to where about I grab it on the arm, right? There's the benefit of grabbing down here if I have a different grip on the wrist. We'll talk about that in a minute. What I like is if I have this neutral grip on the outside here like this is to get a pretty high, because if I grab low and Ed wants to jerk his arm back, it tends to move me. If I grab high and he wants to jerk his arm back, it tends to move him because I'm up closer to the shoulder carriage. So that's kind of a helpful little hint here. So as I go to drag here this way, then I'm circling and I'm passing it through, right? Now, if I catch it on the way in, I want to catch from the outside, I'm kind of smacking his hand down. This is one where I might grab a little bit lower because I'm going to get a better bend and better angle on the arm. And so that's where now I'm going to smack it down and I'm going to drag it across. It results in kind of the same thing, same idea. Now, so we have then this brush off here. These are both things where he's initiated and he's starting to bring his arm to me, or he's leaving his arm hanging out so that I can drag it. I can also set it up if I want to elicit the arm drag from him, then I can come here, and as I start to go, sometimes he'll look to brush this off himself. And then in that case here, I'm gonna look to set up the drag myself like that. So if he comes to the inside like he did just then, I'm gonna smack down, I wanna grab here, and then I have my arm drag on this side, right? If instead he wants to go around the outside of it, well, we go back to that wax off kind of idea this way. So we have both of those two smacking down or circling this way. We can work this into a drill that's really nice. It's kind of a reciprocal drill. It gives me lots of reps whenever I do this. And so he makes contact and I go here and I drag this arm across. Once I pull us together this way, now Ed starts to push us apart with his other hand. And then I come here and then he pushes us apart and I drag every time he comes into touch. So by doing this, I'm constantly getting that kinetic kind of feedback and really starting to build up a sensitivity of how I hit that arm drag and get really good at it, right? So if he's here and he starts to reach out like that, and then I start to get this arm drag, whether it's the wax off version or whether it's just the snap down version here, I create this opening here and I see the side of his body. So I'm gonna take my inside leg and I wanna reach through and I wanna trip. Now, this could be Kouchi Gake or Kouchi Gake, depending on how you wanna do it. And I'm sure if I call it one thing, somebody's gonna get down in the comments and say, actually, that's a Kouchi Gake and not a Gare, whatever. So, but the idea here is once I drag this arm, I'm pitching it and I'm getting my shoulder down into his gut, and then I'm wrapping my leg inside this way, right? I personally like to commit all the way to it so that I get that takedown and I land in a fairly controlled position, even if it is like a half guard kind of position, and I can start my pass. My arm stays on this side over here so that I don't leave it hanging out and he just re-drags and takes my back once I take him down, right? So this time I'm dragging the arm, I'm pitching it out of the way here, and then I'm coming in, hooking the leg here. And yes, this would be Kouchi Gake because I'm not using my foot, I'm hooking or reaping the leg, whatever. But if I were gonna do more of a Kouchi Gake, it would be more inside here like this, right? So, now, having said that though, we can also start to set up things like here. If I drag, I can come in for like a double leg takedown off of here this way, right? You can finish this double leg several different ways. One way, because I'm initiating it standing, I'm not going all the way into like a low shot and bumping my knee, is that I get around his two legs here like this. I'm gonna shuffle step in, and then as I shuffle step in and pass, I'm gonna tuck my knee here this way to finish that double leg, right? So I like for him to have that little barrier behind his leg for him to kind of trip over. So it doesn't require me to have to like pick him up and dump him if he's a bigger guy or whatever. So again, here I split the stance and I step in nice and deep. I get that penetration step. I always like to picture kind of like a pane of glass that I'm busting with my knee right here. I grab the two legs here, generally around the back of the knees. I keep my head up so that it's not just sagged over with my hips out and I get myself choked. I keep my head up, my ear into him. I shuffle step 1 and then 2 back here this way to block his leg, and then I finish that double leg takedown like that. Additionally, from here, if I get this drag, sometimes we can get around to the side this way. This can result in me getting a 2-on-1, like almost a Russian style, or I can get a waist grab over here. If I'm gonna get this waist grab, the benefit of it, still controlling the arm, is that I have a closer route to his back, but I'm also hooking in nice and deep on that hip bone over here. So that like iliac crest, I think is what that's called. And I get real deep and strong on that grip here so I can control. If he wants to try to turn and face me or anything like that, I'm just kind of like walking him this way and I'm staying kind of parallel behind him. Why do I want to get here? Because once we get here this way, a good initial trip to make is for me to step over and around and get this kind of kickstart kind of thing, almost like I'm going to throw like a uchimata or something. It can be, maybe I can dump him on his head, but a lot of times what will happen off of this is it'll just kind of widen his stance out, which didn't get the takedown in itself, but it gets me access to this ankle over here. So now I'm going to trip him past that ankle. And the way that I'm going to look to do that is either, one, just getting my foot in, almost like a doorstop with my toes up, and then using my shin to pressure in so that that lever by itself gets the ankle pick. Or once we get here and I kick that leg back, I might just come down and pick the ankle manually so that now I have a clear route for like a guard pass, give me the knee on belly or whatever. So again, this one here, I'm getting that arm drag, I'm getting around out to the side here like this. I'm stepping in to get that nice deep rip here like that, and then I'm walking him down off of that. What happens then if I get here and I kick this one out and he steps just right back out of it? He kind of scouted it, maybe I was a little bit too slow on that one, right? So, but I have to have something in the chamber. Your chain wrestling is just like chain wrestling on the ground, right? It's just like flow grappling. Not the subscription service, but it's like just flowing from position to position, submission to submission. I've got to be able to chain my takedowns the same way so that if he gives me some kind of response off of this, then I've got to know what to do next. So once he steps out, this leg that just swept through is going to come up and kick the back of the ankle this way. I'm using the grip on his hip here like this, right? Or I may come up to the trap if I have time to get here, and I'm using this bicep pull too, and I'm kicking the back of his ankle. I'm not using a foot sweep like we would use on like a Deashi or anything like that necessarily. I'm kicking this part against his Achilles tendon. It gets a little bit better of a result in this particular case. So again, we start from the arm drag here, this way. I try to step through, didn't work, so I just kick his foot right out from underneath him. And it's kind of like he slips on a banana peel. He's expecting to plant, and all I gotta do is take his foot a few inches past that, and he's not gonna be able to like regain his balance with this other one here. So that's a good little foot trip, a good little foot sweep. And again, either the pull of the hip or the pull up on the trap. And that's what's gonna get the takedown for that. Another thing that might result off of this is he does that big wide step back sometimes like we did before, boom. But this foot here, I'm not really able to kick it out. And this is too awkward as well. But that means though, if that isn't reachable with either my foot or my hand, what that means is he's so bent over right now that the better option anyway is gonna be a snap down here. And as I go to snap down, I'm gonna transition this to a front headlock here. I'm gonna hook here on his jawline for the front headlock, and then I'm gonna step back and snap him down this direction, right? When we go for that snap down, it's taking his center over his base so that he has to create a new foundation, and that essentially puts him in like either a sprawled out or a turtle position here. From this position, I've got lots and lots of options as far as going to guillotines, front naked chokes, anacondas, darces. I've got other videos on all those choke options like that if you want to look at them. So I'll try to link it, how we do on YouTube, you know? Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. So again, what's happening on this one is once I get my arm drag, I get around to the side, I'm gonna go for my trip. Nope, didn't work. His ankle is too far over, but his head is below mine, which tells me it's front headlock time anyway. So I'm cupping here like this, trying to get over his back. This hand is coming back and grabbing his tricep, and then I'm snapping down this direction, and then I can start looking to move to the side, run him over, flatten him out, whatever. And of course, another option here is if I'm already this far behind his back and maybe he's like walking forward, it might just be a better idea just to transition straight to a rear clinch, right? And the benefit of this is because I have this combo grip here, if I just shove his arm against him and I try to get my elbow against his hip and then I get over here on his wrist, I have this kind of seatbelt here around his waist. I'm looking off to the side and I'm splitting his stance, right? From here, lots of different takedown options. Again, look at other videos for the actual options themselves because there's a billion of them. But we have just different basic trips. I can go to the front here like this and lead him down that way. I can pick him up and slam him. Context kind of dictates, his energy kind of dictates, but you got a clear route to the back, so you might as well take advantage of it and get into that like rear seatbelt kind of control. But these are some fundamental elements, I think, and some basic kind of takedowns that you need to know once you hit those arm drags. So hopefully this helped with some of the details. Let me know in the comments which one you like. If I didn't show the one you like, tell me what you like to do with the arm drag. Make sure you check out Ed's channel over at Metrolina Martial Arts here on Instagram, on YouTube, on all the things. And he's got really great martial arts videos over there. I appreciate you letting me film here today. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And thanks for watching Night Jiu-Jitsu.